You're here, I'm pleased, I really feel your company. Your style, your smile, your pace mentality. Lord, have mercy on me. I was blind, now I can see what a king's supposed to be.
Excuse me, miss. I was in the waiting room when you gave your testimony. And what I realized is that we have an enemy in common. While you were being called to the office again, I was being put out the only home I've ever known. While you were shaking with anxiety and fear over something no one ever wants to hear, I was shaking in dread. Because we all know what happens to little girls that have no home and no one to claim them. I think our souls passed each other by. See, my soul left me a long time ago in a dingy motel room, ripped away by brutal force. It fled, unable to find its way back home.
Historical people, who would you want in your seat and why?
Wow. I guess because I'm different. You know, I'm not really starstruck. And so it would be hard to really pinpoint anybody in particular. First person that just came to my mind, you know, I mean, if I had an opportunity to cut Denzel, you know, I would.
That's a good one.
I'd do that.
That would be a dope conversation.
Exactly.
How important is diversity in your work, considering you grew up in a bilingual and bicultural home?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very important. I think at this point, just in society, there's just so much diversity. You know, whether it be in language, whether it be in your upbringing, whether it be, you know, whatever that is. And so I think growing up in, you know, a bilingual household as well as really a bicultural, despite the fact that, you know, my parents are you know, both of Hispanic descent, but growing up in two different cultures of, you know, very traditional values in the home and very different, and sometimes similar values, right, outside of the home, but in different ways, right?
Yeah.
And so,
he tests those whom he loves. I pray he continues to love me till my death. I pray he continues testing me and testing me and testing me until I have no questions left. Until I can ingest knowledge and choke on lies and spit out truth with every breath. But you see, until love for what he loves and hate for what he hates is the only thing that's left within my chest. I know that I will constantly fight to love what's right because I was created with a heart that sits slightly to the left. But I'm okay with that. Because I always knew and always know that he knows exactly what is best. You see, he knew that it would only be a matter of time before I would open my eyes and finally realize that I needed to look deep down inside and pull out the divide so that my heart and my mind would collide and learn to work together.
What's going on, my good people, extraordinary family? We are back, right back in these orange seats. This is Ordinary Conversations with Extraordinary People. I am your host, Willie Beeman. This lady here, I've grown to know over the 2 years that I've been here. You've always been welcoming. You've always been kind. You've always been respectful. You've always, found ways to partner with us here at the library. And so I'm definitely excited to get into this conversation. Without further ado, I have to give her an introduction. She is licensed social worker for the state of Texas with over 31 years of experience serving children and families, experience in bullying prevention, child abuse intervention, teen pregnancy programs, and trauma-informed care. She's a certified trust-based relational intervention practitioner through the Texas Christian University. I definitely want to get into that and see what that's about. Serves as board of trustee for the Forest Hill Public Library, active member of the Forest Hill Campaign Committee, Neighborhood Committee, Mental Health Connection Committee, and then also she is a proud member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated online community extraordinary family. Let's give a warm welcome to the one and only Miss Raquel McFadden.
Thank you.
Yes. How you feeling?
Pretty good. Pretty
Yeah,
good.
Yeah. Miss McFadden, I always like to kick off the show, allowing our viewers and listeners to kind of get to know our guests in regards to childhood, upbringing, I guess family dynamics, and how that has shaped them to the woman or man they are today.
Okay.
So,
Well, I was born in Fort Worth at Harris Hospital, so I have been here my whole life besides when I left for college. So I was born at Harris Hospital. We lived in the Stop 6 area at the beginning of my childhood. And then we moved to Forest Hill as a family when I was in the second grade. So I actually lived in Forest Hill when it was just kind of dirt roads and there was not a lot of houses here. There were like 6 houses on my street when we moved to Forest Hill. Went to high school at Everman and went to South Christian Academy, which was a private school in Forest Hill back in the day.
Wow.
South Campus Christian Academy, then left the Christian Academy, went to Souder and Everman.
Yes, I'm familiar with Souder.
And Everman Junior High, Everman High School, and then college, Charlton State University,
Right.
and graduated college from Tarleton. I have a brother that we are 4.5 years apart.
Yeah.
And he also kind of same thing, Christian school, Fort Worth ISD. He also went to Everman. He graduated from Everman also.
That's awesome.
So
That's
it's just us two.
Gotcha. Speaking of Everman, I've had multiple people on the show from Everman. Shout out to Principal Christopher Rose, who's the principal at Everman High School. I've also had Miss Miriam Davila, who's on City Council for Everman Place 6. And so for you, how was those experiences, I guess, going to Everman High School? Do you kind of remember
it
any?
was nice. It was definitely different than Everman is now because back in the day, it was a very diverse school.
Yeah.
So my school experience with Everman ISD was really filled with diversity. And some of the friends that I made when I was in school at Everman, at the junior high, Souder, at the high school, we're still friends. And even a couple of them came to Tarleton and we all went to college together. So definitely a tight, close-knit community of, friends and family and, still being friends with many of the people that moved into the Forest Hill, Everman area.
Right.
So have maintained those relationships.
That's good. And I think maintaining and keeping healthy relationships, long-lasting relationships is definitely important. I still have high school friends that I'm connected to. Shout out to my brother, Ishmael, I went to South Hills High School with, right off of 20 in my car. Went to ODY High School down the street. Shout out to Bobby and Brandon, some of those guys that I'm still in close-knit relationships with, man. So you really don't find it a lot nowadays.
No.
Building those relationships, but it's definitely important. You mentioned one word that I heard, diversity. I think diversity is very important, especially me working here at the library. We have a diverse staff.
Very diverse.
And I think it definitely helps when it comes to dealing with different people who come in and knock these doors, like people who come in who speak Spanish. I want to learn one day. I don't know when.
So do I.
So I direct them to my engineer, Noemi. And normally, lately, she's kind of helped us with certain words. I hear her go back and forth with Trish to kind of learn, the lingo. And so I think diversity is very, very key.
Well, also, it's the opportunity to meet other people from other cultures.
Yes.
To learn about their culture, for them to learn from you. So it's an opportunity, for learning and for our own personal growth. When you're just around people that look like you, people that are from your culture. There's not an exchange of a
Yeah,
lot of things
yeah.
going on
It's
because
limited.
everything's the same.
Yeah.
Yes, limited
Yeah.
exchange. So somebody, people ask me all the time, wow, how did you make it going to Tarleton? Because Tarleton back then was a predominantly white college, and it really focused a lot on ag, and animals, horses,
Gotcha.
cows, pigs, pot-belly pigs. And so what I
Yeah.
share with people is I took it as an opportunity to learn about a culture that was outside of mine, a culture that was enriched in agriculture.
Yeah.
So, and it took years. So being there and being a college student, I learned a lot about bulls and horses. And, people still ask me, how do you know that? And it's like Tarleton.
Wow. I have a little bit of experience when it comes to that. My uncle, Tim Laveau, one of my mother's brothers, he's the same way. He has multiple horses, has his own horse barn right off of 820s in Village Creek, somewhere in that area. I remember as a child, me and my cousin would come to him to the horse barn, help him feed the horses, help him buy hay. He would put it on the horses, teach us how to ride them, So I have a little bit of that upbringing. He still does this to this day, but he also races them as well. He has his own jockey and putting them in different races. And so, he's always he'll put them horses over.
They're very sweet animals, lovely.
Yeah. So going back to diversity, do you feel like being in these different spaces, learning people, different cultures, do you feel like that propelled you in regards to social work and dealing with different families?
Being a social worker, my role is to advocate and help and work with children and families. And so I definitely feel like my upbringing and, growing up and being introduced to different people, different cultures, also my experience with going to high school, junior high, college with people of different races, if I encounter as a social worker someone that needs help, and for example, we don't speak the same language, I'm still going to help them. That's just how I feel. I mean, there's Google Translate. There's someone else that can translate. God will send someone that can translate. So I don't feel like that for me, yes, there's a language barrier, but it's just a barrier. It's not a barrier that I'm not going to overcome.
That's
so
good.
I'm going to figure out how to meet their needs. And I feel like if I hadn't had the life experience that I had, maybe I would be inferior, maybe I would be afraid, but I'm not afraid. I just continue to work with them, try to lead and guide and help, and advocate, whether we're speaking the same language or not. We're going to figure it out.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've had multiple experiences here working at the library with people who don't speak the same language, but I figured out ways to try to meet their needs and where they are. You mentioned the Google Translator, somebody who come in here want to get some prints done, they'll type it in, I translate it back, and we figure it out and get it done. So always having a servant's heart, I think is
I
very
literally have people that show up and knock on my door and they're holding the phone.
Wow.
For us to, interact and translate, and so, which I'm glad you're here. So let's get it figured out. You knocked on my door. There is a way for us to understand one another. Let's do it.
Yes. Staying in your experience with social work, was there a particular person, moment, or experience that confirmed that this work was meant for you to do?
Well, I always tell different groups when I'm speaking with them on different social service, experiences, that I feel like I was born to do this. I worked with the president, Dr. Wayne Carson, at ACH for many years, ACH Child and Family Services. And he used to say to all of us, if not me, then who? And so I really feel like that I was born to do this. This is something that's in my heart. I feel like children are the future, and children and families are our future. And so if we can help them deal with some of the traumatic things that have happened to them, actually help them to build from trauma to resilience, and I can help to do that, I'm here to do it. You know, as far as you said, if there was a certain experience.
Person, moment, or experience that kind of help shape, or all of them.
There's been many experiences. You know, seeing children that have been hurt, you know, by their parents, who are people who have possibly, in a lot of cases, more than likely been hurt also. You know, something that I feel like I have the ability to really understand and receive is hurt people hurt people.
I was just getting ready to say that.
And so I can look at a person that has hurt someone and know and understand that more than likely they have been hurt too. And I do feel like I'm not judging anyone, because I feel like God gives us all gifts and talents.
I agree.
But I feel like it takes a special person to be able to see a situation, you know, as hurt people, and help the person that's been hurt and the person that's doing the hurting.
Wow, that is well said. I hope y'all picking up what she's putting down.
I hope so.
Staying right there, how do you deal with, I guess, adults who have been hurt that are also causing harm, you know, to their children? What have been some practical things that you've done to help parents deal with their hurt?
I think we have to look at, you know, what's going on with the parent. Like, you know, a lot of times it's not, you know, the first thing we want to think is, why did you do that? No, we want to first think, what happened to you? Because whatever has happened to you is more than likely why you did that. And oftentimes there's a need behind the behavior. Okay. So maybe someone, you know, got out of the car and they started, you know, yelling and screaming at the police, and they didn't have their child in the seat belt. Is, you know, really what's going on there? So what's the need behind the behavior?
I love that.
Did you wake up this morning, you had no lights, you had no electricity, you had no water, you had no food, and now you're a parent and you're driving a child in the car that you should have buckled up in the seatbelt, but you didn't do it because you're worried about electricity, water, and food. Then that child starts crying and screaming. As the parent, instead of consoling the child in a normal situation, the parent turns around and yells at the child or throws something. So we have a lot of things going on here. We may have a parent that was never taught how to properly parent. We may have someone that does not understand or know how to seek resources, even when you don't have it, to be able to provide for your family. We may have a parent that, you know, does not know there is help out there, limited, but it's there. You know, how do I get someone to help me with my electricity bill, with my water bill? Should my child that I'm driving around with all day that's hungry be in a daycare program, be in a CCMS program where they can go to daycare for free, which would then feed them breakfast and lunch, and some daycares dinner? And is there a social worker? Is there a person that can lead and guide me to all of those things that you and I are sitting here talking about? Because they're things that we know, that we take for granted. A lot of people don't know. So who is the person to advocate? Who is the person to advocate for me, to lead and to guide me?
Well said.
That's where I come in.
Well said. I was having a conversation with one of my younger brothers, Darrell, yesterday, and he was like, we have these moments in life to where, say for instance, if you're at home and you look in the refrigerator, but it's a reminder that, you know, the Lord has provided food for you, or you can flick the lights on, knowing that you have power in your home, and these different things that we overlook as human beings. And I was even sharing with him that a lot of times we even overlook coming home, every day.
That you have a home
Yeah.
to come to.
Yes.
You have a home at the end of the day that you can
Come
go
home.
to.
Yes.
You can unlock the door. It is your place.
Yes.
It's your personal space. It's a safe space.
Safe space, yeah.
Some people don't have a home. They don't have a safe space. They don't know how to even obtain getting to a safe space.
Yes.
And where is that space? Is that my church? Is that for some parents, I tell them it may be 10 minutes in their car when they pull up in front of their house because going into their house maybe does not feel like a safe space. Yeah. But we all need to feel like we have that place, that space.
Yeah. Well said. Staying in this vein, one thing that we talk about a lot on the show with different guests is mentorship and the importance of mentorship and how, like you mentioned earlier, that the children are our future and it's our job as leaders to pour into them, to provide, to support, because they need us.
Right.
And so talk about some of your mentors that have helped mold and shape you throughout your 31 years of social work. Who were some of those figures in your life that helped you?
Wow, there's many.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I will start with the first mentor is my mother. My mother is not a social worker. She's a business person,
right,
but she has a heart of gold. And so growing up, I got to watch her help a lot of people. I got to watch her give a lot of things away. And as a little kid, I didn't understand. I'm going to be real honest with you. Like, Mom, where's our furniture? Or where's our couch? Or where's the food I left in the refrigerator? And she would just give. She was a giver. She's still that way to this day. But we never didn't have the things that we need. So when I think of, model the behavior that you want to see in others, she modeled for my brother and I giving, and so
that.
Now there's days being a social worker, I do a lot of giving, and there's days that I think to myself, oh God, you've given everything away, and then I will hear a knock on the door and it's somebody saying, hey, I'd like to donate something to you. And I'm like, wow, oh my God, I just gave it all away and it's already back. So I would definitely say the first person that I had the opportunity to be around and witness modeling the behavior that we should see in others is my parent. My mother gave everything away. Not telling y'all to go give away your car or your couch. Please don't do that. But I think she would if she needed to. So, I think she knew we had the ability and we were fortunate and blessed. If we gave away our whole living room set, we were going to get another one. And for me as a little kid, I'm thinking, well, where am I going to sit? And she's like, you're going to sit on the floor until we get another one. You already had a couch. They didn't have one.
Wow.
So being raised with that as an example and constantly seeing, just to share with you.
No, go ahead, Ms.
I
McFadden.
oftentimes with my husband will come home from work and I'll say, honey, what size shoe do you wear? And he's like, oh, a 10. And I think I even did this to you. And I'm like, I need your shoes. And he just looks at me and I'm like, well, I have a kid that needs a size 10 shoe. So I need, a pair of size 10 dress shoes and a pair of nice tennis shoes for this kid. And he's like, so you want me to go get my shoes out of the closet and give them to you? And I'm like, yes. Wow. And he does it. And I even came up to the Forest Hill Library one day and I was talking with Mr. Strickland and I was like, I have kids and they need things. What size shoe do you wear? And you told me. And I was like, okay, if you ever have any, can you please give them to me? And they were put to good use. So thank you. I do run into people and they need things and I want to be able to give them to them.
Yes.
So
I love it, man. Going back to your mother, man, to me, that's a whole different level of generosity, man. Like I've never heard a story to that magnitude, but it also makes me think of my own mother. Shout out to Brenda Strickland. Same way, she has the same mindset, same makeup. She would give the shirt off of her back, and she's the youngest of 5 siblings, the only girl. Wow. But she's the one that's leading from the front. She's the one that's giving. And even to this day, she was like, for me and my sister Jazz, who's 2 years younger than me, she's like, no matter how old you guys get, you'll always be my kid. So anytime you guys need something, come to me.
Yes.
And so I remember going through a situation last year financially, and talked to her about it. And I came over, and she was like, before you go, I need you to sit down on this couch. You know, as men, we can be, you know,
Right.
prideful. And she was like, son, there's every time you need some help, don't be afraid to call me. I know you're a husband. I know you're trying to do what you can and provide. But if I got it, I'm here to help you. And so, yeah, my mama is the same
And
way.
we all need help.
Yeah.
You know, I always say it's not always because people are like, oh, help them out. And I'm like, sometimes it's just a help up.
Yes, I like
a help
that.
up helps out.
Yes,
So,
yes.
you know, and we all need it. We are all, nobody's perfect. We're all flawed. We're all going to stumble.
Yeah,
And so, you know, being a social worker, I feel like gives me an opportunity to work with children and families and to help them almost kind of when they're stumbling,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
so
yeah.
a help up, you know, can change many situations.
Yeah, yeah. A help up is a help out.
That's
I
right.
love that. That's awesome. Continuing this conversation, being in this field of social work, what has helped you stay emotionally grounded while supporting others through trauma? What are some things that you do,
Oh,
Ms.
wow.
McFadden,
That's a
to
great
keep
question.
yourself grounded?
That's a great question because social workers carry a lot.
Yeah.
I have seen a lot and we carry a lot. And sometimes we have to put our own emotions on the back burner,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
I spent many years as a child abuse investigator and I seen many things,
Right.
horrible things.
Right.
And I always told myself, if I fall apart, if I go in there and I'm crying because of what I am about to witness or what I, you know, will witness, I can't help the kid. I cannot help the child. So if I fall apart, I cannot help to make sure that they are safe.
Yes.
So
yes.
I would sit in my car and pray and get out of the car and go do my job. And for me, I hear, if not you, then who?
Then who?
You are
Yeah.
the one that's able to knock on that door and help. And you have to do it. And you said you would do it. You told God you would do it.
Yeah.
So you're going. And so I always say, you know, they'll say, because, you know, I'm willing to go into some shady, unsafe places. I'm going to be real honest with you.
Yeah.
And I've had other social workers I've worked with. I've had the police tell me, hey, you don't need to go in there. Don't go in there. And I listen. Well, somewhat, because I always think to myself, but if there's a child that's in there that needs my help, I'm going.
You're going.
That's it. I'm going. And you know what? I go and I've never had a problem, and I may meet some, you know, people from different walks of life, but they usually end up helping me figure out what it is I need to figure out.
Wow.
And so, what were you asking me? I know I kind of.
Oh no, I was just saying, what do you do to stay emotionally grounded?
What do I? So
especially going into these tough spaces.
Pray.
Of course.
Get in the car and just pray. Tell myself often, if not you, then who?
Then who?
God gave you a gift to be able to do this. Go do it, and just really taking, you know, some of the things that I share with people. So you and I talked earlier about safe space.
We did.
So making sure my home, my house is a safe space.
Yes, that's good.
You know,
that's
making
good.
sure I'm comfortable, making sure it is a very calming, soothing environment. I have a lot of flowers. I like to plant a lot of flowers and take care of plants and flowers and grow them. That's something that I enjoy. Really making sure that my personal life, my personal space is a safe space.
I love it.
You know,
I love it.
Working out. I enjoy working out. I love the gym, which a lot of people are like, you love the gym, because I can put my earpods in, and I can get on the treadmill, I can get on the bike, and I can just kind of, you know, drift away into my calm, peace world that is a part of me also.
Right. Well said, especially you mentioning earlier, getting these responses from officers telling you, hey, you might not want to go here, but because you have the heart to serve, especially when it comes to children, I'm going to do it anyway.
I'm
But
going.
also making sure that your home is a safe space and other things that you do.
And I love to read,
I'm trying to get better.
Well, I don't know if that's always a good thing, because I will find myself reading about crime and reading, about psychological issues, concerns. So I sometimes have to stop myself, because if I'm going to go home and read about crime, I don't know if that's always the best thing. So I have to change, really watch what I'm reading.
Yeah, definitely switch it up. Yeah, that's definitely something I'm trying to get better at as well. I did finish one book so far. It's a book called How to Influence People by John Maxwell.
Okay.
Yeah, very good book on leadership and negative and positive influence. So yeah, really good. Let's pivot to abuse. I know as I was doing my research, there's different types of child abuse. So take a moment, Ms. McFadden, to share with our viewers and listeners what child abuse is and some of the different types of child abuse.
So sometimes, and this is just, working with general population, a lot of people think child abuse, it has to do with, slapping them physically, hitting a child with a belt,
right.
Some form of, they equate abuse to physical abuse.
Right.
And physical abuse is one form of abuse, physically hitting a child to the point where there's bruises and marks is physical abuse. Slapping a child, that is physical abuse. Putting your hands on a child in a very aggressive manner is physical abuse.
Right.
But there's also physical neglect. So, what is physical neglect? And that is, neglecting your child's needs. Everyone has physical needs. And so neglecting your child's, physical needs, by just not providing for them the things that they need, not taking them to the doctor when they're sick, not making sure that there's food for them to eat. You may not be able to afford to go to the grocery store. It's very expensive. However, there's food banks, there's churches, there's ways to make sure that you are feeding your children. So physical neglect, again, in terms of thinking about, not taking a child to the doctor. I've met a lot of kids that were failing classes in school because they could not see the board. So they would just become the class clown and fail the class. And then you talk to them and they say, my parents know that I can't see and I've never been to the eye doctor. So maybe again, you could not afford to go to the eye doctor and there was fear, and maybe their parent was uncomfortable going and there was fear. So they physically neglected to take them to the eye doctor.
That makes sense.
And now that someone has stepped in to say there's vision programs, there's things that you can do, you can take them. So now they're not, neglect does not have to go on ongoing. It can stop. And so now they've made a change. And there's neglectful supervision. So, for example, leaving a 2 and 3 year old, with a 10-year-old caregiver. A 10-year-old is not capable of caring for 2 young children.
Yes, that makes sense.
And if an adult has left that 10-year-old in that situation with 2 young children to care for, it's neglectful supervision all the way around.
Another form of that could be, I guess, when you see parents, let's say for instance, they're going to the grocery store to get items, but because they're so in a rush, they leave their children in the car. I've seen many stories on that.
Neglectful supervision. You cannot leave a toddler in the car. They roll the windows up. They turn the heater on, or the parent left the heater on, or I've had a lot of situations where parents have, been neglectful and left their kids in the car, and the kid got in there and found something in the glove compartment and harmed themselves, or either put the car in drive and ran over somebody, So definitely as parents, supervision is very important, so there's physical neglect, there's physical abuse, there's neglectful supervision, there's child abandonment, leaving your child somewhere. And I've worked at places where parents have, which was a social service organization, but where parents have driven up and walked little Johnny to the door and drove off.
Wow.
Now, there are places that are considered a safe place. The fire department is considered a safe place. The police department, Quick Trip.
Quick Trip. I heard Quick Trip.
So there's a yellow sign.
Yes, we just got some.
Safe place.
We got some.
So if a parent is having a hard time and they drive up now and they, drop their kid off, or not, they leave them at one of those places, there's definitely, more than likely they won't, have to have any kind of legal ramifications because they chose a safe place to leave them. I can't do this anymore. I'm going to leave them here. This is a safe place.
Right.
Now, if it's not considered a safe place and they just, leave a child somewhere, in the alley or somewhere, that's not safe, and that is a criminal act.
Yes, I totally agree.
So I want to definitely point out the difference.
Yes, definitely a difference. Yeah, I heard recently, we did a training maybe early this year with the staff on safe spaces that are around here in this area, and making sure that as people come in here, we can give them those resources to get to those places. So yeah, definitely important, guys. I hope y'all are listening.
It's a yellow sign. You'll see it at Quick Trip. You'll see it at fire departments. You'll see it at the police station. You're having a hard time parenting your child, you can go to those places.
Yeah. As I was doing my research and looking at the different types of child abuse, one of them that really, really stood out to me, and I want to emphasize, is emotional abuse.
Emotional abuse.
That was one that really, stood out, because the physical abuse, those are the things we can see physically on the outside. But emotional abuse could be things that we don't see that children are dealing with on the inside that they really can't comprehend and share. And so for you, Ms. McFadden, how does emotional abuse affect the child's self-esteem and development?
Well, it's detrimental. Emotional abuse can be, getting up and talking to your child and in a negative, share them that, hey, you're a loser. You're not very smart. I don't like you. I wish you were never born. Those words, to a child, those words hurt. And, emotional abuse can be just, again, I don't care about you. So the negative things that parents say to kids, and kids then internalize those things.
Yeah.
And you're carrying around, I'm a loser.
Yes.
My mom and dad I don't love you. I don't like you.
Right.
Words definitely hurt.
Yes.
And so you're looking at a child that feels no self-worth because of the things that's been said to them. That child now is, could be getting up in a home environment that's already not a secure, safe environment. There's no food there. There's not water. There's not electricity. Then you add on to that, the parent saying those negative things. And then you have that child now that has to go to school and be at school all day, listen to the teacher, do the school lessons, and take the STAR test. So it's definitely not a good situation. Again, as a social worker, that's where I come in at. I had a teacher reach out to me today about a kid that she feels like is going through several things at home. And so they are unable to focus in the classroom on the lesson and the testing because there's some things going on at home. Now, the teacher's role is to teach the class,
Right.
provide the lesson, provide the tutoring. My role as a social worker and working with children and families and working with schools is to figure out, what's going on there.
Yes.
I'm not a teacher, so I have the ability to leave and go knock on mom's door. Hey, and try to see what is going on in that house and what ways can we help.
Yeah.
Because by helping, it's when we think of child abuse and we think of abuse, we often do just think of the child or the victim that is happening to, and we do have to think about the victim. But if I just help, where I'm going with this is being a social worker. If I just gave little Johnny a coat, but I don't try to figure out or see if little Johnny's mother needs a coat too.
Yes, that's good.
She is the one that walks him to school.
That's good.
So he needs a coat, she needs a coat, dad needs a coat, and the little sister. And that's just giving a small example because it's a wraparound process. And I really, I work with Fourth ISD, the Family Action Center.
Right.
And the best thing that I really hold close to my heart in the work that we do is it's a wraparound. And I get to work with a team that thinks about it as this is a wraparound service. So I can't just call one of the other social workers or staff and say, hey, I need this. They're going to say, okay, well, does his mom need anything? Or what else can we do?
Yeah.
You know?
So. That's well said. That's a great point. Not just putting the needs to where the children need it, but also the parents.
Right.
Like you said earlier, there's a need behind their behavior.
Yeah, just looking at what's the need behind the behavior. And it's more than likely. So what I have found in the years, again, you gotta, model the behavior you want to see in others. So if I'm saying, I'm going to help this young girl, I always ask, how's your mom doing? How's your dad doing? And then next time that kid comes, they will bring their parents. And I get to know them. And so now I have the opportunity, not only have I met this young lady that needs some help, now I've met her mother, now I've met her father. Now I'm getting to know them. So I will have the opportunity to really impact and help that family, that whole family system.
Yeah. Well, I want to stay in this vein. Like I said, I was doing my research and looking at the different types of child abuse and emotional abuse really stood out to me. Another question is, how can changes in behavior signal that something is deeper going on with the child? And the reason why I ask this is because, so at church, I help teach the teens at youth church. And so there's one teen, I won't say her name, but she was, I guess, overly aggressive, like playful and doing certain things. And my little brother, Darrell, the day before we were at our church picnic, and she was just doing things. He was getting agitated. He couldn't figure out why she was doing these things. And so fast forward Sunday, I'm teaching. She really wasn't engaged as I was asking questions, just out of it. And so fast forward, Nia, who's our youth director, I was like, Nia, there's a certain teen that's, doing certain things. She wants to get up and keep, going in and out of the classroom. And Nia told me the reason why she acts the way she acts is because she lost her mother.
Okay.
And I was like, wow, okay, Lord, I see why she's doing these certain things, because she needs that attention. There's a void that she's trying to fill.
Yeah.
And so that really, really blew me away. So going back to that question, I just had to throw that in there. How can changes in behavior signal that something deeper may be going on?
Well, being disengaged, you may have a kid that just doesn't want to really talk or engage with anyone. They kind of prefer to isolate themselves.
Yeah.
Also, attention seeking can be one. We don't like to think about that, but sometimes attention seeking in many different ways. I gave you an example earlier. I had kids that were in school suspension, and when they called me in and we got down to the bottom of it, they were being the class clown and not doing their work because they could not see the board. Okay.
Yes.
So they were seeking attention in a negative way to avoid anyone knowing, hey, I need glasses.
Wow.
That's a small but large thing. So isolation, attention seeking, a change in behavior, and just even how a change in behavior, maybe they seem a little bit more down, not as playful, not as talkative as if it was a kid that was, more engaging and more friendly, playful, and talkative. Also appearance, just how this morning I got called over to one of the schools that I work at about a kid that they've noticed that the family has had some struggles, but they've noticed recently that this kid appears unkept, ungroomed,
Yeah.
not showering, so whatever was going on has increased and even more is going on, that they just can sense something is wrong. So really, change in appearance, isolation, attention seeking, even running with sometimes a crowd of people that particular team may not have been hanging out with friends, maybe that they would not have been hanging out. When I was in high school, whenever, like I said, I feel like I've always kind of been a social worker, or as my daughter says, social worky, is just, kids that were maybe straight A students. Now their grades are not A's anymore. And now they are hanging out with, back in high school, we called it the smokers. So like the people that get in a circle and smoke cigarettes at lunch. Now all of a sudden, again, their grades are declining and they are now hanging out. So behavior, a decline in grades, not being as engaged, appearance.
All those things.
Those are some things that you can look at. Was, a change in behavior, something might be going on there.
Yeah. Well said. This is good. This is definitely.
I know we're talking about a lot of things. And then another form of abuse, and we won't go into that, but is child sexual abuse.
Yes.
That's another form of abuse. So, we've talked about emotional, sexual abuse, physical neglect, neglectful supervision, child abandonment. So, and physical abuse.
And physical abuse. Yeah. Staying in this vein, those that are listening and watching who have families and children, what are some resources you see that are most needed for children and families?
Okay.
What do you think are some resources that can help in these different areas?
So when I look at resources that are needed, is I really feel like that we have to look at trauma, and understand it. As a whole, our society needs to understand trauma, and they getting with an organization that understands that you can, have that trauma and you can become resilient. You don't have to stay in a traumatic place. So organizations that understand, the trauma that a lot of our children and families are experiencing, just because, like, I'll hear people say, oh, CPS is going over there. That's not always the worst thing, because maybe it's a family that is experiencing a traumatic situation, and maybe they did get called into Child Protective Services because their kid was hungry and their kid was, smelled and was not groomed. But maybe someone knocking on that door to figure out, hey, what's going on, can get that family set up with. There's so many wonderful organizations. The Center for Transforming Lives does amazing work with children and families. There's also, I think of Christian Works, another organization that offers lots of counseling and services. I am on a committee for Shaken Baby. And so One Safe Place does some wonderful work. So we have several organizations. Seasons of Change does amazing work, that are in the DFW area that can help our struggling families. and that can help, children and families that are in these situations.
Yeah.
So it's just really connecting with the right person that can lead you to the right resource.
Yes.
Community partners helps.
I've heard of them.
Lots of people with housing, with utilities, water, Tarrant County, just being tarrantcounty.gov. There's programs that can help people with training and employment. So really just being led to the right place.
Yeah. And I've actually been in situations like that to where I had to use certain resources, food banks and stuff like that, and my church was offering certain areas.
Knowing where the food banks are. A lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
I get a lot of calls that'll say, I'm working with this family and they don't have any food and they're really hungry. Tarrant County Food Bank has done an amazing job to make sure there's organizations everywhere that have food. And so really, if you look at your zip code, you can go on their website and put in your zip code, and there'll be more than likely a food bank or a place that you can actually walk to. So it's all over the county. So, as far as people being hungry, I always say, well, there is that resource there. And so when I get a call, I'll say, okay, well, tell me where you're located. Okay, well, there's a food bank that's down the street. They can just walk straight down the street and they'll give them some food. And as a social worker, making sure I know those kinds of things. Like I have a list, every food bank, every hour, and the zip code of the area that I work in and the next area over, so that I can, let me send you. This one's open on Mondays and Tuesdays. This one is Wednesday. This is the time. This is how you show up. And working the Family Action Center, we also have a food drive that we're working in once a month. So I even know that every second Tuesday in Stop 6, we're doing a food drive.
That's awesome.
I'm personally there with my director and my coworkers, and we're involved in a food drive. And I have the opportunity, because some families don't have cars, or maybe they can't walk down the street. Well, in a situation like that, if I'm aware, I can get that family a box of food, put it in my car after the food drive, take it to them. So there's also that opportunity.
Before I transition, it reminded me of last year when we did our mini health fair here, and I think we had over 100 cases of food that we got from Tarrant County Food Bank, man, and it was a blessing, man, to see different families coming here and give them, those perishables and those items to take home, going back and forth, putting it in their trunk, just serving. It was definitely an awesome feeling.
Service, just really being out there. And we have some people, it doesn't matter if you have a car or you're on a bike or you're walking. If there's a food drive going on within the community, get in the line. They'll help you. There's plenty of people, if they're walking, they have a backpack, we bag it up, we'll put it in the backpack. There's also law enforcement is in support. Our, police are in, our Tarrant County police are in support of our food banks, and they may be near or around, and they can help to drop it off. So just, again, of being of service to others and working together. We can definitely get some things done.
Yes. Ms. McFadden, through all these years of being in service when it comes to social work and helping various families, what has been, I guess, the most rewarding thing for you in this field of work?
Well, the reward is you get to meet people where they are and help them to arrive to the place that they were going. Help them to achieve goals that they've set for themselves. And maybe, it's a young mother and she was a teen mom, and maybe she did not know how to parent, but she can learn how to parent. Maybe she had goals that she felt like she would never get to complete those goals because she is now a parent at such a young age.
Right.
You know, did you want to be a nurse? Is that helping her, you know, to enroll in nursing school and be successful, and also helping her to understand, hey, you are a young parent, you know, maybe you can successfully complete this parenting class.
Wow.
Is there someone that has been traumatized and there's never been any counseling, therapy, or support?
Yes.
Getting them to that place where not only myself but others are helping to support them so that they can work and deal with the trauma that they have experienced and get on the other side of it. So all of those things, all those situations, I don't want to say things, situations are rewarding. That kid that came and knocked on my door that said, Miss, I have no shoes. Can you give me shoes? For me, I'm so happy that they reached out and asked. It's not about the shoes. It's about that you knocked on the door, because it's usually more of a need than just some shoes and a coat. What else is going on?
That's
and
good.
now the door is open for us to help you. So having the opportunity to help others is what's most rewarding, and seeing them achieve and be successful is very rewarding. And it's baby steps, you know. Achievement looks many different ways.
I totally agree with that.
Achievement could be knocking on the door and saying, I need help. Next step may be I went to the parenting classes, I completed them. Next step is I'm modeling the behavior that I want to see in my kids within myself.
That's good.
You know, so there's just layers to it. And for me, it's a blessing to be involved in those layers to, you know, improvement of self, you know.
I love it. Yeah. Having the ability, man, to walk alongside these families and see that transformation.
And letting them know, I'm here. I will walk with you through this. I want to. You got this. You can do it. Yes, definitely.
I love that. I love that. We're going to shift to something different. You being board of trustee here at the Forest Hill Public Library. So for you, what inspired you to serve as board of trustee here at the Forest Hill Public Library?
Wow. Well, first of all, this library is amazing. Okay. And yes, I am bragging on it, and I'm on the board, and it's true. It's an amazing environment. It is a very welcoming environment. In the past, I myself kind of went through something where I was making a shift and a change in my career, I thought possibly, but again, I was called to be a social worker. So when I wanted to have a timeout in a safe place, a safe space to come and research on things that I was, you know, curious about, a career change at one point. I'll just be real honest with you. And I wanted to research and learn about different things. I'll just say different career opportunities. I came here one day, just randomly, just kind of popped up, and it was just the most engaging, helpful environment. And then I came back a second time, and they had like a children's group going, and it was story time. And this library is all about family.
I always
community.
Say that.
Educating others, helping others. So to have a place that you could go to and have help, more than help with just, you know, printing, scanning, emails, you know, coming here, we have, you know, groups here. There's Wills and Trust. We've had groups in the past that help our elderly to understand computers, social media, how to use your cell phone. We have had groups that come in on child development, you know, parenting groups, how to care for your kids, Easter egg hunts. We have some fun too, mocktails. So we really try to reach out and touch the community in many different ways while helping them at the same time. So for me, an opportunity to be a part of an organization like that, to be a part of, and I also love books. So I
You
get to
said
be
that,
surrounded by books and
Yeah.
people that like books. And we know that everything that we do here at the Forest Hill Library is beyond it's books. Yes, we love them. We love to educate our community, but we're also doing so much more.
Yeah.
You know, health clinics.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah. I mean, health fair.
so
Yeah. very
health
important.
fair. Also, you know, like I said, child development groups. You know, having local entrepreneurs come
Yes.
in.
Yeah.
Story time.
Yeah.
Movie night.
Movie night.
You know,
yeah, it's
so
a
you
lot.
get to come in, eat popcorn, watch a movie, and check out a book
Yeah.
if you like,
At
or
the
you may
same-
need to
Yeah.
print something. We have a great time at Halloween. you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. That
So
is a
we
big
get to
event.
do some fun things, fun educational things.
Yeah. I totally agree. It's definitely been a blessing for me working here. Man, it flew by so fast. It's been over
I
2
know.
years
Wow.
since I've been here, man. But it's definitely been a blessing. And I'm a people's person as well. Mentioning earlier, I get there from my mother, who's a servant leader. I've met so many people, man, in Forest Hill, Everman, that have been here 10, 20, 30
Yeah.
years, man, and understanding their stories and why they live here and all the changes that have happened. And so it's definitely been a blessing getting to know some of these patrons that come
Right.
in on a regular. And then, like you said earlier, some of the innovative programming that we do, and we touch all areas, whether it's the seniors, whether it's the teens, whether it's the little
Right.
kids, we touch everybody. And so, yeah, it's definitely been community driven.
And I feel like, you know, it gives the opportunity for people to come in and just receive so much more than just, I'm here to check out a book. And I
Exactly.
feel like
Yeah.
when you walk in here, you feel that sense of we're a little bit of everything. And you know that we are constantly putting our heads together and constantly growing and doing different things. I love that this library was not afraid to try something different.
Yeah,
We feel
it's
like
true.
it's gonna, you know, help our community or contribute to our community. It may work, it may not work, and we will pivot and we'll be doing something else.
Yeah. One of the biggest things, man, that I've seen so far this year, we have a partnership with Goodwill, North Central Texas, and we had our job fair back in January, man. When I tell you consistently, I believe it was over 100 people who came through the doors.
Right.
We spoke about diversity earlier, people from all walks of life. We had over 20 employers here.
Wow.
People just coming in and getting those resources, man, because we know employment is definitely shaky right now with the economy. And so,
And then at Christmas, we had the toy drive.
We had a toy drive.
You know, helping to, you know that there's someone, more than someone, there's people in our community that we're not going to be able to provide toys for their kids. So, you know, being able to give back by saying, come in, donate one toy. You know, one toy, 10 people does it. That's 10 toys.
Yeah,
you know?
Going back to the board members, number one, it's all women, which is a phenomenal thing. The women are dominating. Women are holding it down, man. Not saying that the men aren't, boy. We have a great support, man, when it comes to the women who represent this library. So for you being a part of working with these phenomenal women, what does, what do you take from each one of them in regards to leadership?
Oh, wow. They're amazing. You know, we have some leaders that are more vocal than the others. Some sit back. I was thinking about Angela. And, you know, she's a quiet leader. And that's great balance because then we have Charlotte Hogan Price as our treasurer. And she, you know, she uses her voice. And I love that. You know, she uses her voice and she advocates for this library and for this community, you know. So then you have me. I'm kind of, you know, in the middle with great ideas and let's do this and let's do that. Then we have Miss Peavy that keeps us all, you know, in order, being the secretary and making sure, you know, we have good notes and that we can look back and reflect on things that we've tried or things that we've talked about. Then you have our president, so Dr. Johnson, who is definitely brings some great experience to our library. You know, we talk a lot about wanting to grow and continue to grow.
That's important.
And so
Yeah.
she's definitely a visionary, has a great vision for our growth and where we're going. Then we have Michael, our director. He
that's
does
my guy.
a phenomenal job. He's a
yeah.
great leader.
Yeah.
You know, so I get to work with some really amazing people. And the best thing is, like you said, you've been here. We don't have turnover. We all have big hearts, and we are all here because we care. And so to get to be a part of and be on a board where I'm working with people that work here, people on the board, a director, and I really know everybody cares about this place is amazing.
Yeah. I totally agree. There's a quote that I got from Roger Miles when I had him on the show that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
That's right.
And so at the end of the day, man, that's one thing that we're trying to push here at the Forest Public Library is making sure that we are going together.
We're going together.
Each and every one of us has unique skill sets, but we try to implement them as a team.
Right.
So yeah, I'm definitely grateful for the team that I have here. One of them is the engineer behind the.
We got a great engineer
here holding it down for us,
putting it together.
Yeah, definitely great staff, man. Great team, and we do a lot of cool things here. I know you have a phrase that you go by: "Teamwork makes the dream work."
That's right.
And so, I guess, how do you implement that in regards to whether it's social work, whether it's working with board members, whether it's working with us? What does that look like to you?
Well, I think you said something earlier, you know, you can't do it alone.
No, you can't.
Know, and so you have to be able to recognize, you know, I'm not good at everything.
I'm not either.
I'm not good at everything.
Yeah.
And I always say, you know, nobody's good at everything, unfortunately.
True.
You know, we all have our flaws. And so to be able to work together as a team and recognize and understand what you may not be good at. It might not be your calling, but then maybe it's someone else's on your team. Maybe they're called to do that. So just imagine if you're doing what you're good at and you bring to the team the best, your best, and then they bring their best, which is different from your best, and you put all of that together. I mean, you know, and we can't, you know, I may have a teammate, you know, that's put together a wonderful program, and maybe my role is to be there and to be supportive and to smile at everybody that comes in that door that's attending her program, to smile and assist them. I am not above doing that because that day, that's my part.
That's
you
good.
know, so we
it.
talked about the wonderful engineer we have here. You and I would not be able to sit here and talk and have this amazing conversation if we didn't have a great engineer making sure that she's taping and it goes right.
Exactly.
So her part is just as important as your part or mine. You know, if Michael, the director of the library, hadn't ordered these these cool chairs that I like so much and realized the need for them and the need for this space, we would not have this space to be able to sit in. So, you know, teamwork makes the dream work is knowing that we're all brought together for a reason and everybody has a part and a time. And so your part may be this big today, this small tomorrow, like this the next day, but we all have a part.
That's so good. Speaking to each and every one of us knowing our strengths, I remember I was going to be a part of an event at Dan Powell, their literacy night they do every year, and they invite us. And so something happened to where we had to make a transition. So they wanted, they're predominantly Hispanic.
Okay.
And so we were looking to send Noemi to go there, but they wanted people to speak on a certain Hispanic figure within that's, you know, in history. And me knowing that Noemi, that's not her makeup.
Right.
I was like, okay, let's figure something out to where I'll go and be the one presenting because I don't have a problem speaking in front of people. So going back to what you were saying, we have to know each other's
Right.
strengths. Yeah.
And it does not mean that it's a weakness.
No.
It's just, like you said, know each other's strengths. So it may be that you stand up and you speak and you share the history. She is the engineer. She translates
Yeah.
if needed.
Right.
And now we're working together as a team, and we've delivered a message.
True.
A very powerful message that night, and it included her, and it included, you also.
Yes,
and
yes.
so just really coming together. I work with, like I said, I brag on my team a lot, because I do feel like that we kind of come in and help and support each other as needed, and do it in a way that shows strength.
Yeah. I totally agree. But yeah, definitely have a great staff here. Definitely have a great team. Before we wrap it up, I guess in your own words, how would you describe servant leadership in your own words before we close?
Oh, wow. Dedicated. A dedicated leader, committed to, what you're doing, being an advocate, and being there, doing what you say that you're going to do. Okay? Making sure that you do it. And I always think about, take the next step, take the extra step. The extra step, there may be some gains there, or there may not be. But still, always think, when you think about everything that you're doing and being a leader and what you're going to do, what your plans are, always think, but if I take that one extra step, what could it be?
Yeah.
I think people sometimes think, and again, I'm thinking of being an advocate, just because the first place I called said, no, I can't do that. Keep going. Keep going. Keep advocating. Keep taking steps. Take the extra step in the process, always.
Yeah, I love it.
So dedication, commitment, take that extra step.
Yeah. I love it. Well, we are done here, Miss McFadden. I appreciate.
Well, thank you for your time, and thank you for reaching out and saying, "Hey, let's have this conversation. Let's talk about social work and community and how we can help others. And hopefully, you and I, we can continue to expand, and it's continue to grow with the information we share with the community.
Yeah, I totally agree.
The opportunity that we have for information to share with the community.
Yes. This is Ordinary Conversations with Extraordinary People, and we definitely had extraordinary conversations.
We did.
I learned a lot about Miss Raquel McFadden and what she does in the community, how she helps family in regards to social work. And so, I'm definitely excited to see where everything else goes and how you continue to move forward. But we will see y'all next time. Peace.
Have a good